Wuthering Waves was just recently featured at Taipei Game Show, and they showcased a new vertical slice of Wuthering Waves where we got to see some of the improvements to the combat, character redesigns, and animations. Our friends over at Wuthering Radio have put together a video comparing both CBT1 and CBT2 changes that we've been able to see from Taipei Game Show in excitement and anticipation for the full closed beta test too. We're going to go in and take a look at those, and I'm going to give you some of my thoughts on the changes. But before we do, make sure to drop a like and subscribe on the channel, guys. I would greatly appreciate that. Let's go take a look. Surprise, I've got headphones.
Taipei Game Show brought us the first official look at Wuthering Waves' latest iteration of combat, and I want to talk about 5 changes since the first closed beta test that are a bigger deal than you might first think. This is the screen that you see when you launch the game. It seems that when you click to enter, it's still going to focus in on the rover you chose to play as. In this case, female rover.
Definitely can see some tonal changes there, which I think we're about to see.
It's probably for the best that she's no longer awkwardly leaning on nothing, though she did look pretty cool.
That does look kind of jank.
The glow of her eyes seems to have been reduced. It's hard to say whether this is an upgrade because I think I preferred it before. It definitely makes me miss Rover's old design.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I think I'm on Team Wuthering Radio here. I do really like the glowing eyes and like kind of look at determination that you can see on CBT1. On the left side here for the CBT2 version, she's looking a little more sad. If you look at her expression there, like maybe she's a little more burdened by something, which maybe that's intentional with some of the reworks in the story. But I think I do like some of that glow, but maybe there's story reasons as to why that's the case.
Heard it before. It definitely makes me miss Rover's old design. It looks like the rovers are underwater, but in reality, the sky around a tacit field takes on the appearance of water and reflects onto the surface below.
Yeah, that's way less overt than it was previously. Like, I'm pretty sure there was straight up literal waves above them before.
The time of day used to change on
pre-watched. I'm amazing. My memory's amazing.
the login screen back in the first closed beta. And I hope that will still happen because it added a lot of character. During the last test,
I wonder if there was just like too much of like an underwater motif there that it just was like distracting from like the original vision of it, so that's why they made that change. But definitely a pretty dramatic change there.
Mouse and keyboard was the only way to go, but Kura Games promised controller would be available in the future. Thanks to the 2 gentlemen demoing the game here on IGN's stream, we can see that the future is now.
That's exciting to see. Now, I did hear a little bit about this in advance, and I think there was a little bit of misinformation that was going on around that, so I want to clarify something. They have confirmed that Wuthering Waves is going to be coming out on consoles as well. That is part of the launch plan for Wuthering Waves that at least we've previously heard. So of course, controller support is going to be a thing, and it needs to be a thing in this case. Great to see that they're already unrolling that. Now, there was some footage leaked previously of some controller support gameplay taking place, and a lot of people saying that it was from a console build. From the information that I was able to gather around that, that's not the case. It's actually just a PC build with a controller plugged into it, I think in the same way that that IGN showcase took place as well. So I don't think we've actually formally seen a console build yet for the game, but I mean, if the controller support's going to be there on PC, I'm sure we're going to see something pretty much identical.
The UI here looks clean and easy to understand, and is very reminiscent of Genshin Impact's controller UI.
Oh no! Wuthering Radio, what have you done? She's made the forbidden comparison! I'm sorry, I'm trolling a little bit there, guys. I know there's some people in the Wuthering Waves community that are a little more sensitive to comparison. They just want Wuthering Waves to be its own thing. I understand why people feel that way, but I think this is a pretty valid moment to kind of make that comparison if you're asking me.
Which is great, because Genshin's controller mode is excellent. Many other games use this.
I will say that is very true. I've played a lot of Genshin on console, PlayStation 4 and 5 specifically, and both cases, it was polished really well from the 4-character combat, being able to switch through and activate the skills and abilities. So that part is definitely polished. I will give that credit.
The style, including the likes of Final Fantasy 16. Although I played many games using mouse and keyboard, including Kuro's other game, Punishing Grey Raven,
she's coming,
I
boys!
For controller while playing Wuthering Waves' first closed beta test. I imagined it would be the most comfortable way to play the game, and seeing this makes me look forward to it even more.
Yeah, if I'm going to be honest, I'm still a pretty rough PC gamer in general. So I'm probably more likely to be playing Wuthering Waves on controller as well. And if it's not on controller, it's probably because I'm playing on my phone just to get through some dailies and things as well. So I'll probably be one of those phone gamers or controller gamers, probably not really PC. I know probably PC players out there are cringing at hearing me say that, playing it on the phone. But it's convenient. It's convenient being able to take it around with you. What can I say?
We can see the guys here are using an Xbox controller. Fingers crossed Wuthering Waves has PlayStation inputs too.
Yeah, there will be. There's no doubt in my mind that'll be the case.
Speaking of Genshin Impact, the UI in Wuthering Waves' first closed beta had near identical keybinds to Genshin, and that seems to still be the case. Is that a bad thing? Well, no. If you play certain genres of
it can be perceived as bad, but not for optimal gameplay reasons, but for comparison reasons. People are going to weaponize that on either side for whatever way that they want to use that. I can see that happening. But from like a player like intuition standpoint, I think it's going to be just fine.
games, you get used to using certain buttons to play them, and when games switch it up, it can feel bad to jump between them. Given the millions of people who will have played Genshin Impact beforehand, a familiar layout will help ease them right into the game.
I mean, that can also be a thing for in the game as well. Like, for example, actually, this is something that people bumped into a little bit with Punishing Grey Raven. Now, Bianca Stigmata, I might end up mixing these two up in my own head, so caveat here. To get into Bianca Stigmata's core passive, you have to hold dash, which activates her matrix mode, allowing you to select orbs, reorganize them, and do everything that you need to before getting to her full combat rotation. On Lee Hyperreal, who was another unit that came after her, you needed to actually hold the attack button to get into his core passive, which I know sounds like a really small thing, but when you've been kind of fine-tuning your reactions and gameplay to holding one button over the other, there is a little bit of like rewiring that you have to do in your brain. So I wouldn't even say it's between games. It can be within games if you decide to change up the format in that way.
I actually tried Genshin after I played Wuthering Waves' first closed beta, and because I got used to the keybinds, it was very easy to get started in Genshin. It's a small thing, but
wow, I just realized what she said there. She played the Wuthering Waves CBT before she played Genshin. I don't know if I've heard of a single other person in existence who's done that. I think we found a unicorn.
It's a decision I'm a fan of. Familiarity is good, and Wuthering Waves is inching closer to its own identity with this iteration. As for the visual,
yeah, 100% familiarity is good. Like, it's the same thing with like first-person shooters. You hold the left trigger so that you can aim down the sight. You hold the right trigger so you can shoot. That format is something that has existed for a long time, something that a lot of gamers are very familiar with. So just to fully break that is, you're kind of setting yourself up for failure a little bit on gameplay mechanics. Can you work around it? Sure. But like, there are certain gameplay fundamentals that gamers start to expect from certain kinds of games. So I think that's a totally understandable take on that.
Design of Wuthering Waves UI. It's made minor improvements to the HUD since the first beta, but from what little we've seen, the menus are already looking way better. It's hard to really get a sense of it from the demos, so I'll hold my feedback.
I love her redesign. I'm just adding that in there. And I do also really like the redesigns that we've seen so far too. Very clean, looking very good. Loving the echo sorting system. It looks like it's going to be way easier to kind of be, managing those and building different units. Looking really good so far.
Back on this until I can play the latest beta myself. We got a flash of both keyboard and controller layouts, but only by accident because the demo UI bugged out and overlaid both kinds on top of one another. Whoops.
Oh my. Oh my gosh. I didn't even notice that before. That's so funny. Oh my gosh. Well, look. Let me white knight here for a moment. They are playing on a different build than the CBT2 build with this. They're playing in just like a smaller instant zone, so you can do some gameplay trialing on that tacit field specifically. I did see some of that from some other content. So I can definitely see that there may have been a few things that needed to be worked out at that time, but that's why we're in testing, baby. That's why it's beta tests.
Demo UI bugged out and overlaid both kinds on top of one another.
Still hilarious, though.
Party still consists of 3 characters as opposed to Genshin's 4, and Wuthering Waves has more buttons to press in combat as well.
That's one point that I'm a little torn on. Like, I do really like being able to have more characters in the party, like having the 4-character party, but I do know that having the 3 creates different dynamics and gameplay to it, helps it feel more unique. It's also what they were already doing with with PGR, it's only 3 character parties. So I can definitely understand that. But I think I'm more interested in having more characters in the party too, because if there's a co-op experience, I want to have more friends be able to come in and actually join in on that. Where now you're limited to only potentially 2 other people coming in with you because it's party caps of 3, right? So, but I mean, I think it's still really interesting.
Well, we know that Kuro Games as a company is very combat focused, so this comes as no surprise. This is a huge improvement over the placeholder UI, but it could always get better.
Yeah.
That said, I love how satisfying it feels now to watch enemy HP bars decrease. This demo takes place in a tacit field, which is a type of location you can interact with to fight enemies known as tacit discords for rewards you can claim using Wuthering Waves' version of stamina.
We did hear that
in
in some of the recent
closed beta,
announcements.
these places were bleak.
Ooh, I do like that transition
From
though,
the
of being
dev
really
interview,
washed
we
out.
know that these will now have some random elements to spice things up. Activating a
let's see some of the
tacit field
differences here.
creates a sort of domain for the tacit discords that spawn, draining the life from your surroundings.
So they still kind of
It's a
kept
cool
that.
idea for these corrupted areas to have the color blasted out of them, but everything felt a little too one-note. Visually, they were boring, and they were frequently seen around the world, which made them feel repetitive. Because the world itself was dull, it made it hard to appreciate what you had saved by eliminating the threat.
I feel like that's perfectly falls in line with some of the color palette redesigns that they've done with some of the environments and changing that experience to make it just have a little bit more depth to it. So I can definitely see that. I will say though, on that CBT1 clip of the walking in, just watching it drain out of there, I mean, I don't know, that's still pretty unique.
In this demo, activated tacit fields feel dark rather than dull,
Yeah,
using purples
definitely.
and blues to signify corruption, which
They didn't drop the saturation and the contrast. It looks like they've kind of just like started to drop the saturation a little bit on it. So you're still kind of seeing a lot of these bold colors stand out, which is a great design choice.
is much more exciting visually. TDs felt almost invisible against the backdrop before, but
Yeah,
now
you can
pop
see that.
nicely. The purple parts of the enemies seem to glow more brightly to aid in this. When the tacit field has been neutralized, you can see warmth burst into the area.
All right, let's see this.
The general color palette of the game is so much
One more time.
the area.
One more time. I'm gonna go out on a limb and assume, yeah, there's probably a missing animation there. If that's what happens in game, like that's jank as heck. So I'd bet money on that there's a missing visual of some kind.
The general color palette of the game is so much more varied and alive now, causing the tacit fields to feel more threatening by extension. The Taipei
That's a
Game
fair
Show
assessment.
demo allowed for zero exploration as it locked players into a confined area. On the upside, this restraint allowed us to get a great look at the latest versions of Baichu, Danjin, and Jian. Baichu, formerly known as Bailian, was one of my biggest concerns for the previous beta. She was one of the early trio of characters you could acquire for free through the story. Despite
Okay.
being a healer, she fights as a summoner type character with this creature, Yotan.
It reminds me a lot of like Rosalina from Smash Bros, where she has the oh my gosh, what are they called? Like those like floating star characters that she's like really fighting with, like not really herself. And I'll be honest, I don't like playing Rosalina in Smash Bros. So it does make me a little bit hesitant on Baiji.
Except the controls on Yotan felt awful and sluggish, and targeting enemies with it was rough. All in all,
Interesting.
there was a distinct lack of fun, and I felt bad for her. With a new name and a new outfit, and quite a literal glow up for Yotan, Baichu is keen to shake off her initial impression. The motions
Okay.
of her attacks look snappy. Yotan darts between enemies, and thankfully, the best attack she had is here to stay. Danjin
I do really like the way that she was teleporting, or the Yoden thing was teleporting back and forth between the enemies instead of it like floating around back and forth. It did make it, I liked that snappy look to it. I'm interested to get some hands on with that.
is a character who required a bit of skill to use optimally in the first closed beta.
Yeah.
She reduces her HP when attacking, and through certain attacks, gains it back again. These
Yeah, that Donjin was a character that a good friend of mine, Lobopixel, really liked to play, and he was saying very similar things, that she's a little bit more complicated to play, not as new player friendly, because her skill does eat up her HP for increased damage. However, I believe if you did her third skill previously, you would get the health back, I think based on the damage that was done. Don't quote me on that portion of it. So while a little bit more complicated to, perfectly act out her skills to make that happen, she can still pump out some very good damage and is a lot of fun to play. Also, character redesign on point.
Testers aren't familiar enough with the game to know how she works, but I have a feeling that her gameplay loop paired with her updated animations will make for a fun time. Jian is the highest rarity character in this party, and it shows. His attacks are fluid and flashier than ever. There's a real glow to his special effects that didn't seem to be present in the past. He really demonstrates the difference in combat feel between the first closed beta and the second.
I really hope Jian doesn't have a Zila treatment. In case you didn't play Honkai Star Rail, when the game first came out, one of the first limited rate up character banner was Zila, and she was absolutely cracked when she came out. In the early game, you could absolutely stomp pretty much every piece of content early on in the game, especially if you had Baranya going along with her just to keep pushing her forward. You could absolutely decimate the content. Now, as time has gone on and more characters have dropped, she's been significantly power crept in that case, and so it's kind of really fallen off. And I hope that Jian doesn't fall off in the same way, because I do really like his design, the whole dragon motif, that snap onto the animation coming from that low angle, and seeing the crowd control effects that come from the dragon attacking combo there. Like, he seems like a really fun character to play, so I hope he stays like really viable in the long term.
Jian looked so sad and clunky before, but now he gives the impression of being a character you have to have. The new dodge animation is a huge standout for me. The old version grinded time to a halt, which was cool until you saw it for the 30th time that fight, and realized it was just slowing everything down. The update evokes the same feeling while keeping the quick pace of the combat. And on the subject of movement, Baicha also does this little hop up a step here, and I just think that's neat. Every character looks like a
It's the little things, guys. It's the little things.
delight to control now. The difference 9 months of development made to this game is unbelievable. Each of these changes will have a huge impact on the feel of Wuthering Waves going forward. And the changes run far deeper than this, so you'll need to watch this video to find out just how much Wuthering Waves has evolved in the last several months.
Make sure to go and check out the full video on the Wuthering Radio channel. Drop a like and subscribe. Also, leave a comment, saying that I sent you, saying Connor Stotts was looking at this and I came over to say hi. I'd greatly appreciate that. And knowing that I always want to give credit where credit is due with the, other content creators who allow me to react to their content. And so I appreciate the ladies at Wuthering Radio and at Grey Raven Radio giving me that permission to do so. So overall, I think it's really interesting seeing what we're coming out of the Taipei game show, seeing some of the new combat that's come out of it, some of the polishing that has taken place, seeing it in a little bit in action from what they were saying in the dev vlog. It's just all it's done is made me more interested in closed beta test 2 and seeing the potential that it has. I'm excited to get my hands on it. Kuro, if you watch this video, please, I need to get in there. I would greatly appreciate it. I really like your game. If anybody's got any inside scoops, please let me know. If you want to hear more about Wuthering Waves, I have been doing a podcast with a few other content creator friends of mine, which I will leave a link to that in the description down below. We just did our second episode where we had a guest further beyond gaming who came to chat with us about Wuthering Waves. As always, special shout out to the patrons on this channel. Thank you to all of our producer and backer level patrons. Your support is always greatly appreciated. If you would like to help support me and support the channel, you can always go and join onto the Patreon and do that. You get access to some exclusive areas in the Discord, and it's a great time and a great community there. If you just want to join the Discord and have fun, that's also allowed. Don't worry, you can also find that in the description down below. If you made it this far, make sure to drop a like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.